Hello and welcome to the Retire Once Show, the show designed to help you get to retirement, but most importantly, stay retired. I'm your host, Johnathan Rankin. I'm the founder and CEO of Theorem Wealth Management, and I am joined, as always, by my lovely co-host.
Hi, I'm Melissa Rankin. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for being here. And today our episode is about some really good news for those people who are retired. We've got some great news for you today that we're going to share. But before we jump into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button because, as you know, as we've been talking about, we're building this retirement community, right, Mel?
Join us. Come join us.
Come join us. Hit that subscribe button, whether you're on YouTube or you're listening to this on any platform. Just hit that subscribe button so you're notified every time that an episode comes out. So Mel, what good news do we have for retirees? Let's start there. So we've got some good news that we want to share.
So we've got some information about the Inflation Reduction Act.
That's right. And so this actually came to us in the form of a question that someone submitted. And so if you have a question, you can head to retireonceshow.com. Ask us any question that you'd like. We'd be happy to address that here on the show. And you can also, if you want to, you can schedule some time to connect with us on an individual basis, or we can run a free retirement consultation for you. But yeah, so let's go into what do we get on.
So let's just jump right in. So the question we got was from Brian, and he said, I'm retired. How does the Inflation Reduction Act affect me? Which I think is what everybody wants to know. The top question for most retirees.
Yeah, I think, well, anytime that any legislation really passes, I think most people always wonder, okay, how does this actually impact me?
What does it mean for me?
Yeah, what's in it for me? Now, the Inflation Reduction Act, if you're not aware, it was passed last week on the 16th, and it really addressed two things, climate change and Medicare. Now, we're not a political show. Don't care if you're left, right, center, don't care. We're not going to get into whether or not this bill should have been passed or shouldn't have, or whatever you wanted to put in there for your benefit. We're not going to talk about that.
But we are happy to hear your opinions on it again. So you're welcome to send us any feedback that you have.
Absolutely.
Definitely, we're open to that.
Absolutely. But today we're going to talk about how it really does impact anybody who's retired like Brian here. So really, for retirees, it's going to focus on two different aspects, Medicare, and then does this or how does this impact your investments? And those are the questions that we've been getting. So, the first thing we'll dive into is Medicare. And obviously we know healthcare costs have continue to rise and outpace inflation for a long period of time. And it's been one of the biggest risks to retirees.
And so unknown. I mean, it
is. And not knowing, every year, obviously the older you get, the more that you're going to need healthcare is what the studies have shown. And
I mean, your body starts to break down. Of course, you're like,
I'm trying to be positive for our listeners. I'm sorry
I'm the realistic one.
I know,
Please.
But if you're watching this, I don't want you to think that, I think that your body is deteriorating. That's only my wife.
No, I don't either. I just think that people, should be prepared for that.
Yeah, remember, the title of this episode is Great News for Retirees. Great news, your body's deteriorating by Melissa Rankin. So anyway, okay.
Back to the topic at hand.
So the first thing that came out of this Inflation Reduction Act is Medicare will now be able to negotiate drug prices. Now, this is a very big deal because currently prescriptions account for 20% of Medicare patients' out-of-pocket expenses. So it's
outrageous.
Very large cost. And so now, don't get your hopes up. This isn't starting until 2026. So passed it this year. Guess we get to wait a couple years, but this will hopefully reduce the very expensive medication over time. So they're actually going to start with the top 10 most expensive. List is still to be determined, but they're going to try and reduce those costs down.
So hang on, let me get this straight. We've got the top 10, but it's not happening for over four more years.
Three and a half.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure.
A little less than 3.5.
Those facts all straight.
Yeah, so you got a little bit of time with your deteriorating health.
I was going to say,
to eventually save money on medication that you're going to need. Uplifting show, Mel. God, we are really... Hit that subscribe button when you have time. Retirement paradise, that's what we're building here. So the next part about it is that there's now going to be a $2,000 cap on out-of-pocket expenses for prescription drugs. So
that's actually that's a positive thing.
This is a positive thing.
A bright, cheery, yay!
This is very good news. Now, you don't have to wait until 2026 for this one. You just have to wait until 2025.
Oh,
so they give it to you a
good.
year earlier. A year earlier. Like I said, we're not left or right. This isn't talking about whether the bill should have been passed. I guess they're just making people wait a little bit for some savings. The next part of it is insulin price limit. So starting next year, so you don't have to wait that long, only a couple months away. The cost for a monthly supply for insulin will be capped at $35.
That's a big deal. That one actually is. That's a very big deal.
It's a really big deal because I saw a study that from 2007 to 2020, the cost that Medicare Part D enrollees were paying for insulin went from like 230 plus million to over $1 billion over that 13, 14 year time frame. So whereas during that time, Medicare enrollees who actually need insulin doubled. So right now there are about 3.3 million people that need insulin. So they're going to dramatically benefit from this. So
and that's the one that's starting next year.
Yep.
Okay,
starting next year. And then the last part of it that's really going to benefit retirees is free vaccines. Now, we're not talking about the flu or COVID, but really all vaccines are going to be free. Sometimes they can cost hundreds of dollars. They're not always free right now. So that also starts in 2023, as Melissa would say, to stop the deteriorating health. God, we are having a great time here. We are so happy that you're here.
At least we're laughing about it.
At least we're laughing about it.
You can't laugh. It's just sad.
That's true. However, she's talking about deteriorating health, and we have great news for retirees.
I'm talking about why medical expenses are so high when you retire.
That is true. Deteriorating health. But great news for retirees. You're going to save money on that deteriorating health. So
starting next year,
and then really in 2025, and then again maybe in 2026. So
they didn't add anything for 2024.
I don't believe so.
Well,
No, they left that year out.
Interesting.
Very interesting. So next we'll talk about the impact on investments. Now we get this question a lot. Really, anytime there's any major legislation, is okay, how is this going to affect the market? Is the market going to go up or down because of this? Now, this bill had two major tax provisions that are really helping offset the costs of this program. And good thing is they don't apply to us as individuals, they apply to corporations. So there's going to be a 15% minimum tax on corporations that have more of $1 billion of book income per year. So the estimated impact is this is going to impact about 150 companies. A little less than half of those are in growth sectors like tech, consumer discretionary, or communication services. And then about a third are in healthcare. Now, did read a report from JP Morgan that said that those sectors might feel earnings per share headwinds of about 1% to 2%. So just something to be aware of as you're building out your allocation. And then the second part is a 1% tax on stock buybacks. So I know stock buybacks have been a really big thing over the past couple of years. I know a lot of people wonder, okay, why are companies buying back their stock? Well, they're doing so in an effort to return money to shareholders, increase shareholder value. So that is now going to have a 1% tax on it. And so we might see companies either pull those buybacks into this year to avoid that 1% tax, or eventually shift that into more of a dividend as opposed to a share buyback.
Okay. So how often do companies, do this, or what do they account for with the buybacks?
Last year was a huge year. We saw almost $1 trillion of stock buybacks. I think it was something like $880 billion that companies in the S&P 500 spent on buying their stock back.
And so now they'll have that tax on it.
Exactly. They'll have a 1% tax. So right now, one of the top companies that is notorious for doing stock buybacks is Apple. So it'll be interesting to see what their strategy is with whether or not they increase their dividend or how they go about, paying this 1% tax. I mean, if you're Apple, does the 1% tax matter? But with the amount they're doing, probably. So it'll be interesting to see what companies do moving forward. But, this is one where stock buybacks have been heavily criticized. over the past couple of years because, a lot of conversation has been about, okay, has this really been the driver of the performance in the market? If companies are just buying their own stock back, is that why the market went up so much? And then you saw companies right as the pandemic hit that were needing money from the government that were a couple of years ago buying their own stock back. And so it's, I think,
like borrowing from one side to pay the other kind
exactly.
of.
So there's been a lot of scrutiny on this, and so there's no surprise that we saw something that's built to do that. But I don't think it's going to mean that the stock market's going to crash or that it's going to double in value because of this bill.
It's essentially how the first part of the bill is going to be paid for.
Exactly.
So it doesn't really affect individuals, which is kind of nice.
Yep. So Apple's buyback might be paying for your deteriorating health is what Mel's trying to say. So great news for retirees. You're going to be saving money on Medicare prescriptions at some point in the future.
But nothing in 2024.
Nothing in 2024. So it's probably because it's an election year.
But again, we're not political here.
Not at all. This is not, she's not CNN. I'm not Fox. I'm not Fox. She's not CNN. This is not the way we do things. We're not a house divided.
We're just here to bring you all the new information.
That's it. That's what we're here to do. So we did get another question that came in. So I want you to share the second question we got.
So Joyce asked a question. She said, I retired last year, but due to inflation concerns, I decided to go back to work. Understandable. The problem is she started Social Security on January 1st, and she wants to know how that's going to be impacted by her going back to work.
Yeah, this has been really common over the past year where, especially after the pandemic, that kind of forced a lot of people to go into early retirement, now starting to think about, re-entering the workforce as things gotten more expensive. So a couple things to unpack here. So the first thing we're going to talk about is taxation on Social Security benefits. We get this question a lot, how much can I earn without my Social Security benefits being taxed? In this situation, Joyce is going back to work. So to determine how much your Social Security is taxed, there's a formula known as...
Buckle up, people.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a ride. Great news for retirees. We got numbers coming at you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Deteriorating health and numbers. So there's a formula called the provisional income, also known as the combined income. Now, this is taking half of your Social Security benefit, your adjusted gross income, and any non-taxable interest. So really, any income from wages, interest, dividends, or other taxable income kind of fit into that bucket. So let's assume that Joyce's benefit is $24,000 a year, so $2,000 a month, and she's going back to work. She's going to make $50,000.
Okay.
That's the only income she has. So in this scenario, half of that 24 is 12, so $12,000 plus the 50. Her new combined income is $62,000 for Social Security taxation purposes. Now, there are two really thresholds that you have to be aware of, the 50% threshold and the 85% threshold. So individuals with combined income between, buckle up here, we got numbers coming at you. Individuals with combined income between $25,000 and $34,000 will pay income tax on up to 50% of their Social Security benefits. Now, couples, it's $32,000 to $44,000. So if Joyce is married, she didn't really provide that here in the question, but she's married, $32,000 to $44,000 to get in that 50% bucket. And then individuals with combined income more than $34,000 or couples over $44,000 may pay taxes on up to 85% of their Social Security benefit.
Okay, now that we've wrapped up the math portion of our episode.
Yes, ABC 1, 2, 3. So yes.
So what are the rules though? I mean, there's got to be a little bit more to it than just the taxes, right?
So taxes, well, that's her first option. She just go to work and she can essentially add that money to her combined income and pay taxes on whatever applicable tax she's owed or she's due on whatever that income is. So that's option one. The other one, because she retired or started taking benefits in January of this year, she can actually reverse that Social Security decision. So this is something that not many people are aware of. There are really two options if you want to really reverse your Social Security decision, but they are very specific rules and deadlines to be aware of. So
naturally,
Social Security, they don't make anything easy, as you'd imagine. So the first thing you could do is you can reverse the decision within the first 12 months of claiming Social Security. So Joyce started taking benefits January 1st. She has until January 1st of next year. I would do it December 31st just to be safe. Just me.
Just because.
Give it a day. But you can cancel your application, and essentially you do what's called a withdrawal. Now, you are only allowed one withdrawal per lifetime. So they limit you. I don't know, keeping track of, one thing per lifetime. I don't know. That's so you get one of these per lifetime. You can withdraw this, but the one caveat you have to be aware of. Now, this is the important part. When you withdraw your application, you have to repay all of the benefits that you've received, and anybody who's received benefits on your behalf also has to have those repaid. So if you have a spouse or a child claiming benefits on your behalf, then Joyce, you'd have to pay back your benefit and that benefit that they received as well.
There's the catch.
That's the catch.
That's right there.
And then there's more.
Oh, of course there's more. But wait, there's more.
It's like we're on a, what is that? The Home Shopping Network. But wait, there's more. For only anytime a host says, but only wait, there's more,
But first.
You know that you shouldn't buy whatever you're buying. Whatever's on the screen, don't buy it.
Just shut the TV off.
Just shut the TV off if they say, but wait, there's more. But wait here, there's more. So you must repay all those Social Security benefits, and you must repay any money that was paid from those benefits that was used to pay Medicare premiums or any federal income tax withholding. So you've got to pay it all back. And what this means is it means that you reverse the whole decision. It's like you never claimed before. So this can really be impactful depending on how old Joyce is. Let's assume she's 62 years old. If she's 62, she took a pretty big hit to her Social Security benefit by claiming it early. She's going back to work. Let's say that now she does the withdrawal, pays everything back, and now she's able to claim that benefit at full retirement age. You get 100% of her benefit, or even better, delay till 70 and get really the full max that you can get by getting those delayed credits.
So I guess the moral of that one is just really try to be sure.
Yeah. Do you want to make sure that you are sure with what you're doing? And that is the other thing is that, there is another caveat. Let's just say that Joyce is 65 years old. Another thing she wants to be sure about. If you're 65, Joyce, and you are on Medicare and you decide that you want to withdraw your application, you have to clearly state, and there's a form. I believe it's I looked it up.
Of course there's a form.
Very specific form. The SSA-521. So they make things fun over there at the Social Security Administration. Form 521. You have to elect whether or not you want to keep your Medicare benefits or not. Now, if you decide that you want to keep your Medicare benefits, you have to pay the premiums directly. So just know that you've got to pay those directly as opposed to any other format. But you have to elect and make it very clear that you want to keep and stay on Medicare.
Okay, so let's say Joyce is a rebel. What if she just doesn't want to pay it back?
Okay.
Or what if she's like, oh gosh, I forgot so much happened over this year. I forgot the 12-month window, or like I said, I don't know. I'm hoping she's a rebel and just doesn't want to pay it back. Then what?
There could be that. Well, okay. So, Joyce, if you're a rebel, or you just decide you kind of forgot until January 2nd, you're like, oops. Then depending on your age. So if you're over full retirement age, so if you've reached full retirement age but you're not 70 years old, then what you can do is you can actually suspend your benefit. And this will allow you to earn delayed retirement credits for every single month that you suspend. And the caveat here is that anybody receiving benefits on your behalf also has to suspend as well. Now, benefits will restart either at age 70 or whenever you elect for them to restart. But it is important to know that you have to have reached full retirement age and not be 70 years old yet. So there's kind of that sweet spot, that window there that, depending on your age, you can provide that. So going forward, if you'd like to provide us with a question, you could be as vague as Joyce here, which we appreciate, or you can be as detailed as you'd like, and we can be more specific.
The vague is good too, because it gives us a chance to throw more numbers at you, which is always a good thing.
That is true. Numbers and surveys, those are what we're known for here on Retirement Paradise.
Stats, and
deteriorating health. So But yeah, so Joyce, just to summarize, you've got a number of choices. You can work and keep taking Social Security, and you're just going to owe some taxes on it based on how much you're going to earn. You can withdraw and pay it back depending on your age, or you can possibly suspend it if you're at full retirement age or not. So a couple different choices there. If you do have questions, let's say you really want to go through your individual circumstances, you can head to retireonceshow.com, schedule some time with us. We'll link to that as well in the show notes. But that is our show for today. Some good news, along with Melissa's, happiness of deteriorating health. Thank you for that.
My realistic view.
Spin it however you want. Our listeners are now going, wow, all they're doing is insulting me, telling me I have deteriorating health. So,
well, not everybody.
I apologize on her behalf. But that is our show for today. I am Johnathan Rankin. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm Melissa Rankin. Thank you.